Gotham the series. Since this was announced, I have been just salivating, waiting for this to come out. Because what they're doing is they're kind of taking the Christopher Nolan look and putting it into a TV show as like an origin story. And I gotta say, I watched the first episode tonight, and it did not disappoint. This show was amazing. I just loved it from beginning to end. They gave you enough Easter eggs, enough winks at the hardcore Batman fans, but also kind of walked you into the characters. If you never saw a Batman before in your life, you're still going to enjoy the show. Not because, it's necessarily, oh, I know that guy, but it's because it was well written, lots of drama, and it gives this really dark and gritty feel for Gotham. That, again, Christopher Nolan's been bringing, Frank Miller really the inspiration for all that, but that we've been seeing recently in the Batman universe, which, hey, if you watch the show, we love that.
Absolutely. At this point, I think that it's kind of been the Batman image has been changed to the point that he's got to be they call him the Dark Knight anyway, but he's got to be the dark superhero, the good guy superhero, not dark in the sense of he sometimes walks on the evil side or something like that, but just he's dealing with the gritty underworld. Mm-hmm. He's not using superpowers anyway, but he has to use his mind, so it's delving into his own personal demons, it's delving into everyone else's demons, all this kinds of this is not the sunny perfect city that he's even defending and all these things.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing is he doesn't have an ambiguous moral code. That's the thing about Batman, is exactly how he feels and what he feels is right and what he feels is wrong. He doesn't use guns because he doesn't believe in killing people. He doesn't, he doesn't do certain things that he could do to make his life easier, especially since he doesn't have superpowers because of, and this is because of his moral code. I mean, that's one of the things about Batman, that he's unwavering. You've seen different superheroes that have wavered, in different situations.
And his moral code is not necessarily aligned with legal systems. He does often help out and everything when he thinks it's appropriate. But I mean, that was one of the things about the Dark Knight Returns series, though, is he has conflicts with Batman because he sees Batman as a pawn who's just following along, following orders, and not really upholding good, instead aligning with the status quo and order more so than doing what's right. And we see, Batman, he'll do things that are not, that maybe it's the police can't do, maybe it's not the same stuff, but he would go after cops if he saw cops doing things wrong.
Oh, yeah. And so let's talk about the show. So the show does start off with, of course, I mean, everybody knows where it's going to start off. Bruce Wayne's parents die. Now, I do got to say this about Catwoman. They kind of show her jumping around. She didn't have any speaking parts, but she was kind of hovering around some of the main elements of the story. And this girl, I think she's like 14 or 15. She's got like a 30-year-old woman's face, but like a 12-year-old girl. She in a 12-year-old girl's body, which is just... It's just kind of weird to look at her. It's like, wait, how old are you again? That's weird. You just look too old for how old you really are. It just, I don't know. It kind of freaked me out a little bit, just to be honest with you. Just a little bit.
This is Catwoman we're talking about?
Yeah, Catwoman. She's a young girl in this.
She's got 9 lines. Maybe she's on her second.
Maybe, and I don't know.
And her face stayed the same.
Yeah, she died when she was 30 in her first life, and the only thing that stayed the same was her face. She's like Benjamin Button, but Catwoman.
It's not like Benjamin Button at all, actually. Aging backwards and retaining an aspect of your previous life. Nothing alike.
Same thing. But I can tell she's going to be an interesting character because they have her set it up as her witnessing the Wayne's death. So, and she kind of pops in and checks on Bruce a little bit, it seems like. Now, Bruce is not the main element of this show. It's going to center around Ben Gordon and Harvey Bullock. And if you don't know who Harvey Bullock is, I know you've watched the Batman animated series, the 90s cartoon. Great cartoon. He was the fat cop who was always kind of...
The detective?
Not a good guy. Fat detective that was... He never liked Batman. Not a good guy necessarily. Not a bad guy necessarily, but definitely not a good guy.
He was a little bit of a slimy detective. He also just wasn't very good at his job. Like, you got the sense that he could do it. He wasn't a completely bumbling idiot, but he obviously wasn't Batman level good at detective work.
Well, nobody's Batman level good. I mean, that's not fair.
But like
Can't
nowhere
compare
near,
Batman.
and maybe he resented him a little bit because of that. Like I'm
Yeah.
the detective here, but
It's true. And so it's Jim Gordon is did I say Ben Gordon earlier? I meant Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon is new on the force. This is like he's just a brand newbie, so he's partnered up with Harvey Bullock, who's been on the force. He's a grizzled veteran, and they pretty much are painting a picture of a city that just everything is kind of almost rotten to the core. The police, there's this one scene where a cop is held hostage by a criminal in the police station, actually, who has his gun to his head, and Gordon comes up and he finds a way out of the situation by he disarms him and everything like that. And then all the police in the police station start beating this guy, this prisoner, like just ruthlessly beating him. And he steps in to kind of stop him, and his partner goes, "What are you doing? Why didn't you just kill the guy? When he pulls a gun, you kill him." And it's like, wow, So they have this different view of how to police crime. It's
that may also be kind of one of those social satire things they're throwing in there too, but.
I think they're just trying to kind of tell you about the police department. I mean, because the police, they don't want crime. As long as the crime is behind, the scenes, as long as the average person doesn't see it, they don't seem to care about it. Because they also set up a character, Fish Mooney, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, who does an awesome job in this so far. I really like this character, at least the way they've developed her so far. She's kind of an underling in the Falcone family who might be making a play for the top, which we'll probably see later on this season, but it's an interesting dynamic there. But they show Harvey's like really good friends with her, like he walks in and gives her a kiss and everything like that, and they kind of work together to do some pretty bad things. But then you also have they've set up characters. The Riddler pops up for like maybe about 2 minutes, and it just so happens he's working in the police station as a forensic analyst. There you go, analyst. Ha ha. That's why I got you here, Brendan.
Yeah, so you can speak. Gotcha.
But yeah, so he does some. He comes in and he's giving him like all these riddles and stuff like that when he's telling him about stuff. And you see this one little part. He says a riddle and Gordon figures it out right away. And he kind of looks at Gordon like, "Uh-oh, I'm gonna have trouble with this guy later on." So you can kind of tell he's rotten. Now they do bring Penguin in. Penguin's gonna be probably the biggest. Batman villain that we'll see in this series, because Penguin, they really set him up. They give him a pretty good foundation, and there's something that happens in the show with Penguin where it's like, oh, Penguin could have never been around if something else happened. But this is a spoiler-free review, so Penguin does something pretty cool in there. Well, he doesn't do something cool, but he is setting up to be a cool character, and they even kind of explain where he got his nickname Penguin from, because he's not this Danny DeVito, like little short deformed guy. He is actually a tall guy, but he walks kind of funny, so that's that. But yeah, and they also bring in Barbara, and I know her as Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon's daughter, who then becomes Batwoman later. But like,
Isn't
this
she supposed to be younger? Like a lot younger?
Yeah, but Barbara is Jim Gordon's fiance. Now she's not called Barbara Gordon yet, of course, but they give Barbara that role, which I just thought that was interesting. That's the first real character that they've kind of flipped and changed around the way they're doing it. So
maybe just so they could put her in, because like I said, she's supposed to be a lot younger. Otherwise, right? So how are you going to fit her into this time frame before she was born? Unless, I don't know, maybe Barbara Gordon, maybe they named the daughter Barbara after the mother?
That's kind of...
I don't remember
that very often. Yeah, and who knows how it's going to develop. I mean, maybe this is just they named her Barbara and didn't think, hey, Jim Gordon's supposed to have a daughter named Barbara. Maybe they just didn't think that.
I don't remember anything about Gordon's wife, so I just don't remember anything.
And again, we'll see how it goes. And then we have Poison Ivy was actually introduced real quick too. They just called her Ivy, but she was tending plants, so you know what she was doing. She was a little girl too. So, and then Bruce Wayne, they do show him a little bit more towards the end of the episode, and they kind of he's going to develop into Batman.
See, the only thing I'm disappointed from that is the introduction of Poison Ivy, because otherwise it sounded like you had plenty room set up to make a reproduction of the original Adam West Batman movie. They had all the right villains. Joker.
Oh, Ivy was in that.
Joker. Penguin.
There was no Joker. I didn't say Joker.
He'll be there.
And they actually might have dropped something. If you watch the show, there's a part in Fish Mooney's Club, which if you watch the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for anybody else, but drop me some comments down below. Tell me if you think that's Joker. I'm kind of curious. They might have shown Joker, but not really at all. But kind of maybe, possibly.
He has to come in sometime. Like, they might wait till second season, whatever. I don't care. They're going to show Joker.
But that's the thing about Joker, is Joker kind of pops up when Batman pops up. And it's almost a response to Batman coming, is Joker comes in. And I think that's how...
Batman, they had Joker origin stories before, though.
No, that's the thing about Joker. Nobody knows where he came from.
No, it's not. No, that's not the case. There are origin stories for him that have been written where he falls into a vat of like weird chemical stuff, and that was the
Tim Burton. That was the original Tim Burton Batman, which is all right.
It has it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. It exists. In the comics, I believe he does not have an origin story. Nobody knows.
We'll find out. Anyone that knows, comment down below. Yes.
Comments down below.
But
I mean, just if you watch the show,
whatever. I don't care. I want Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler to team up and set up a bomb.
Yeah.
All right.
After
set a shark at Batman while he's flying over the ocean, over the sea.
Over the sea, yes, over the sea. But I don't know. If you watch the show, let me know what you thought. Hit us up, comments down below. Of course, at Words for My Face on Twitter, wordsformyface@gmail.com. Facebook and Google Plus, always good ways to get a hold of us. I'm curious if everybody else loved the show as much as I did, because there was so much hype going into the show. And again, I'm one of the people who was hyping the show, and it did not disappoint. It's a rarity in this world nowadays. And usually I build it up too much, and then it can never reach those expectations, and it did. It really did. So, I was blown away.
I guess, did they hit the crucial part that you were expecting the most and wanting, desiring?
Yeah, they got the feel of Gotham that I was looking for. I
meant they just killed his parents.
Well,
that's what you were really looking forward to, wasn't it?
I wasn't really looking forward to that. But
was that the twist ending? Was that the twist ending? Like I
was like, oh no, his parents died? What? How could you do that? Nobody ever expected Bruce Wayne's parents to die. Yeah, so. But yeah.